Hi class, so in this video I'm gonna continue discussing about our second part of the midterm 2 sample test. Again, make sure you have worked on these questions before watching this video. Okay, all right, let's look at question 7 first. We have a common stock that just paid a dividend. Note that here, just paid tells us that this dividend is D0, not D1, okay, and it's $1. If the expected long-term growth rate for this stock is 5.4, if the investor's required rate of return is 13.3%, what is the stock price? Okay, so we know D0, we know G, 5.4. We are looking for, and we know investors require rate of return of this stock. So R is 13.3%. We're looking for P0. Okay, so here, let me list the conditions first. So we know D0, dollar. Okay, G, the long-term growth rate is 5.4%. And our rate of return, R, or you can say it's RS. Okay, or you can say it's RI, it equals to 13.3%. This is the rate of return for the investor, for the stock. This is also the cost of common equity for the firm. Okay, so our stock price, P0, okay, or let me use this notation here. P0 price today, okay, can be calculated using our constant growth model, which is D1 over, I want to use this equation, so I keep inserting D0, RS minus G. Okay, so our constant growth model tells us that P0 equals D1 over RS minus G. Okay, so we can just use 13.3% minus G, 5.4%, divide by, excuse me, I need to use D1 divide by this. Okay, what is D1? So I need to solve for D1 first. D1 equals D0 multiplied by 1 plus G. Okay, so it's $1 multiplied by 1 plus 5.4%. This should give us 1.054. Okay, and then we use this D1, 1.054 divided by RS, 13.3% minus G, 5.4%. We should get P0 as 13.34, so we choose option D. Okay, so in this question, we know G, D1, we know G, we know R. We first calculate D1 by using D0 multiplied by 1 plus G. Then we calculate P0 by using D1 over RS minus G. Okay, so we have option D, 13.34 as our stock price. This is just the constant growth model. Of the dividend. discount model that we're using here. Okay, this is question 7. Let's come to question 8. We have a firm that's expected to pay a dividend of 1.25 per share at the end of the year, which is D1, okay? At the end of the year should mean D1. Expected to pay, okay? The stock sells for 34.5 per share, so we know P0. Required rate of return, R, is 10.5%. Dividend is expected to grow at some constant rate, G, forever. What is equilibrium expected growth rate? Okay, so we are looking for G here in this question. We want to know what is G, and we know here we're again using the constant growth model of dividend discount model, okay? The original model tells us that, I can just copy and paste this model here. P0 equals D1 over RS minus G. Okay, so we should know G equals to D1. Let me do it step by step. Okay, so RS minus G becomes D1 over P0, right? D1 over P0. Okay, if you multiply by RS minus G on both sides of the equation, and then divide by P0 on both sides of the division equation, you would know that RS minus G equals D1 over P0. Okay, then G becomes RS minus okay, so G equals RS minus D1 over P0. Okay, so we have our formula here. Now we just need to plug numbers in. Okay, so G equals RS is given by this question. Okay, which is 10.5% as the stock return. Okay, we need to minus D1, which is 1.25, divide by P0, which is 34.5. Okay, here should give us a constant growth rate as 6.88%. So we should choose D. Okay, this is question 8. Let's come to question 9. This firm has a stocks currently selling for 35.25, so we know P0 and it's an equilibrium price. The dividend is gonna increase at a constant rate of G, 8%. Required rate of return on the stock RS is 11.5%. What is the stock's expected price 5 years from now? Okay, so here we know P0. Okay, here we know P0 equals 35.25. We also know G equals to 8%. RS equals 11.5%. Okay, we're looking for P5. What is P5? If we use just constant growth model, the original model, P5 is going to be D6 over RS minus G. Okay, then you have to solve for D6. D6 is gonna be D1 multiplied by 1 plus G to the power of 5. Then you have to solve for D1. Okay, and D1 is gonna be P0 multiplied by RS minus G. So you can use P0, G, and RS to solve for D1, and then solve for D6, and then calculate for P5. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit complicated if you use the original model. But do you still remember our conclusion that under the constant growth model setting, okay, we have the summary or the conclusion that under the constant growth model setting, our dividend growth rate equals price growth rate equals capital gains yield equals G. So dividends are growing at the rate of G. Price is also growing at the rate of G. Our capital gains yield is also G, while the dividend yield is R minus G. Okay. Dividend yield is R minus G. Okay, here, it's because we know that our price grows at the rate of G, so P5 becomes P0 multiplied by 1 plus G to the power of 5. Okay, let me insert a formula or equation here so you can see it clear. 1 plus G to the power of 5. Okay, just like our dividend formula, that D5 is gonna be D0 multiplied by 1 plus G to the power of 5. P5 also equals P0 multiplied by 1 plus G to the power of 5. So here we can just let me make it look better. Okay, so here we can just use P0 and G. Okay, it's gonna be 35.25. I was planning on 35.25 multiplied by 1 plus G, 1 plus 8% to the power of 5. And we should get 51.79 and choose option E. Okay. So this is question 9. Question 10. We have this firm that's projected free cash flow for the next year. FCF1 is 270,000. Free cash flow is expected to grow at a constant rate of 6.5% starting from year 1. If the company's weighted average cost of capital is 11.5%, what is the firm's total corporate value? Okay, so we know free cash flow 1, we know the constant growth rate, 6.5%, and we know WACC. Okay, so we can use the constant growth model setting of the corporate valuation model. Okay, so our total corporate value should be free cash flow 1 divided by WACC minus G. Okay, so it's gonna be 270,000 divided by WACC 11.5% minus G 6.5%. Okay, we should have option D. Okay, 5 million. $5,400,000 as the total corporation value. Question 11. Okay. Let me make it on the next page so it's easier for us to look at it. This firm is expected to pay a dividend of D1 1.25 at the end of the year, and that dividend is growing at a constant rate 6% per year. Beta 1.95, market risk premium 5.5, risk-free rate 4%. What is the current stock price? So here we know D1 equals 1.5. We also know G equals to 6%. Okay, we also know beta equals 1.95. Market risk premium equals 5.5%. What is market risk premium again? It should be RM minus RF, right? And our risk-free rate RF equals 4%. Okay, so if we want to look for the stock price, we could probably use the constant growth model version of the dividend discount model. Okay, I'm gonna copy the model as well. Okay, that's gonna be P0 equals D1 over RS minus G. However, we know D1, we know G, we do not know RS here. We need to solve for RS. Okay, we don't know about it, but we know beta, market risk premium, and risk-free rate. So we can first solve for RS using CAPM. Okay, and next, solve for P0 using the constant growth model version of the dividend discount model. Okay, so the required rate of return of the stock RS would be equal to RF plus market risk premium multiplied by beta. Okay, remember, market risk premium is RM minus RF. So here we can just use 4% plus 5.5% multiplied by beta 1.95. Okay, so we have 14.73% as our required rate of return. And for the next step, we can just use D1 1.25 divide by RS 14.73% minus G, which is 6%. Okay, this way we can have 14.33 as our final answer. So the right option is D. Okay, so this is a typical question of combining CAPM model and constant growth model. Okay, so we solve for RS using CAPM first, and then solve for current price P0 using constant growth model in the second step.